and welcome to another video. The snow and the winter cold has finally arrived, and after one freezing shopping trip in the Helsinki city center, I started wondering what the Victorian and Edwardian women really wore to keep themselves warm in below zero temperatures. When you add the ever-blowing sea wind in Helsinki, you really don't want to go out with only a tiny little hat perched on top of your hair. It is not easy to find period pictures of practical winter wear. People did want to look their best in the photos and didn't wear their thickest furs, mittens and scarves. Besides, the photographers probably didn't want to freeze their fingers in -20 Celsius temperatures. Museum pieces include scarves, gloves, mittens and hoods. Scarves might have been worn around the neck or wrapped over those fashionable hats and tied below the chin. However, one particular piece of headwear started intriguing me. It was this Bashlik hood scarf that is owned by Espoo City Museum. I thought it looked both pretty and practical. Most of my winter coats don't have hoods, so this would be a really handy item of clothing to own. But what is a Bashlik? A Bashlik is a sharp-pointed hood that has long tails that can be wrapped around the neck. Their history reaches all the way to ancient Scythian people. This ceramic painting shows a Scythian archer wearing a Bashlik hood. These hoods were practical and the use of them spread over the Eastern Europe and Western Asia, including Turkey, Caucasus and Iran. Bashliks became fashionable in Russia in 1830s after the Napoleonic War. By the 1862, Bashliks were made a uniform headdress in Cossack armies and later the other branches of Russian armed forces. This led them to come to Finland too, and there are several versions of this headwear in Finnish museums. Bashlik hoods were worn by both men and women. Men wore the hood with the tip pointing up and sometimes tucked the tails of the hood under their belts. Women folded the tip down and wore their hoods in the manner of scarves. Often women's hoods featured a dangling tassel which kept the tip pointing down. In Russia and Finland, the Bashlik had a characteristic ribbon decoration at the tip of the hood. During the 19th century, the Bashliks became fashionable in Western Europe and America as well. Here are two pictures from Harper's Bazaar magazine from the January of 1869. And this pretty red Bashlik is owned by the Met. From the museum description of the first white women's Bashlik, I got the most important measurements that allowed me to draw an approximate pattern. This pattern is very simple to make, and if you cut it on fold, you only have to sew one short seam. The height from the neck to the tip is 30 centimeters. The depth of the hood is 47 centimeters, and the tails measure 120 centimeters. You can choose where to put the seam. I'll put it on the top, so I have the fold at the back. The ribbon decoration goes here. The width of the tails is not mentioned, so I decided to make them 23 centimeters wide. I made my hood out of grey wool herringbone tweed. I sewed the only seam and felled it by hand. I didn't have bias binding, so I used black cotton herringbone ribbon to finish the edges. I made the ribbon decoration using some velvet ribbon I found in my stash. To finish the Bashlik, I made a tassel out of grey wool yarn.